All right, so this was pretty cool. Caitlyn Clark and her boyfriend, Connor McCaffrey, were at the Indy Ignite volleyball game, which is the Indianapolis team in the Professional Volleyball Federation. And, I'm no longer going to just cover like Caitlyn Clark shows up somewhere. That's not a story. And especially, I'm sure she just wants to go places and be able to mind her own business. But in this case, it was really interesting, not just because of the sites, and there were some cool sites there. Caitlyn and this young girl had a very nice, sweet interaction that was shared a lot on social media. They appeared to be sitting next to each other, or didn't appear, they were, and you could see McCaffrey and Caitlyn there, and this young woman and young little lady, and Caitlyn had a lot of fun together there. And you see, she's like, point to the camera, Caitlyn. Look at the camera. We're taking the picture. I'm in this picture with you. This is being committed to, to forever. This is an image I'm capturing. So that was a sweet little moment, of course. But it was beyond that. It wasn't just that they were there. It was what was said after the game by some of the players on the Indy Ignite team that stood out to me. Because I went and I found some of the press conference footage. Now, there was a photo taken with that young lady and the team there after the game. And of course, I'm sure they were thrilled to have Caitlyn Clark in attendance. That photo by Derek White, DW75. And afterwards, a couple of the players on the Indy Ignite team, they did have a presser, and they spoke about it. They spoke about a few things, and I'll play probably their full comments so you get the entire context of what they had to say. This was from Richard Torres, and here is what was said after the game.
How important is it to engage with the fans, especially early on?
I love them. I really do. I love them. And I think, volleyball wouldn't be volleyball if it wasn't for our fans. Like, everyone knows that it's a huge game of momentum, and having people cheering for you and rooting for you, and you're playing for something bigger than yourself, you know? And so, I am absolutely in awe in what Indiana has brought to our arena, Fisher's Event Center. Like, even on a Thursday night, like, everyone's still showing out, everyone's still packing, like, the energy is good. And they just make all of us, I think, want to play even harder for them. And so, yeah, like, it's like they're friends. I don't even like think fan, like they're friends. Like, I want to make sure that they get what they need. And yeah, love them.
We're like in a position where we're not Caitlyn Clark, where if we take one photo, we're going to get 10 million. Like, we can take photos and engage with people. And I think when they feel like they get to know us and they're learning about us and we're engaging with them, making them feel important, it makes them want to come back. And that's all we wanted to give the best fan experience possible. I think that's a big part of it. So it's fun.
Well, and then speaking of Caitlyn Clark, she was here watching you. So, was that pretty?
Pretty sick.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
She's probably one of the most popular people in the world in the past year. So we're glad she came. We're thankful for that. She's always welcome back, obviously.
Women supporting women in women's sports is very, 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 very important. I feel like for the longest time, women has always been on a back burner, and we're seeing changes as the last couple of years is coming, and now volleyball has entered the market, and it's only going to go up for here. And so I just want to, in the world that we're in, that we're supporting them, they're also supporting us, and like women are supporting women. So huge shout out to all the women who are coming out and supporting us, and just know that we're giving it right back when we can.
What a refreshing outlook on the fans that they had there, right? And not to mention, obviously, the outlook on Caitlyn Clark being there, and of course that meant something to them. Let me shout out the two women who spoke directly. The one who said it's pretty sick. Her name is Azani Teeler. I want to say, I apologize if I don't get the pronunciations exactly correct. And the last woman you heard speak was Laketer Member Mena. That's my best, without having a place to reference that pronunciation of their names. But you just see it's a refreshing outlook from them, because there is no mass consumption of sports and consumerism of sports without fans. Those paychecks, the root of it is the fans. And I'm not saying that those women volleyball players are making a ton of money, but maybe eventually they do, because it does feel like there's a burgeoning movement with women's volleyball in general. I've heard so much more about women's volleyball in recent times than I really ever had before. My father's a big women's volleyball fan. He grew up playing, or he played volleyball, and he went to Penn State and he follows the team there. But regardless, from a more mass standpoint, you see a lot more talk about volleyball. And of course, women's sports are growing. And when you go and take it to the WNBA, I mean, the reason more money is coming into the WNBA is because more people are watching the WNBA, more people are buying tickets to go to the WNBA. That's where the money comes from. So it might not be simply like a direct relation in the sense of, these ticket sales go straight to the players. Of course not. But when the interest is higher and the media rights deal is renegotiated because that interest is higher, and then the players get paid more off that media rights deal, that's the fans. Which is why the whole notion of these new fans in the WNBA was the most absurd thing, like the backlash against them, the most absurd, illogical thing anyone could ever possibly conceive as a business and a sports league. So I get it. They're not seeing the influx of the nastiness that comes with that, just the increased volume or the annoyance that comes with that, the increased volume, whatever the case may be, the other things, because there are some drawbacks, of course, to increase the tension. But it was just a refreshing outlook from those players. I enjoyed hearing it. Shouts to Indy Ignite. Shouts to Caitlyn Clark for continuing to support. I mean, she's showing up at everything there. Obviously she was dealing with a lot recently, but you see her at the G League game for the Mad Ants. You see her at the Pacers games, obviously. You see her at the Butler games, and we know why she's supporting Butler, but still a local area team. And then now you see her at the Indy Ignite volleyball team game. She was also pumped about the Fever's practice facility news. So Caitlyn Clark, very rooted in that community environment and everything. And I liked the way this one played out, because you had the wholesome moment with the young girl, and then you had the wholesome reaction from the players. So it didn't feel so paparazzi-esque, if you will. Like, oh, Caitlyn Clark is here, turns heads or whatever the case may be. I just thought it was a story worth sharing, because obviously it also shares the story of the women's players. And you can click the link in the description for the article by Grant Young on women's fast break on SI, which was also shared by the Indy Ignite volleyball team. So clearly they really enjoyed the support as well. Or if I were to sum it up in the two words, the one young woman used, I guess the best way that you could put a bow on this story of Caitlyn Clark's women's volleyball support is to say it was pretty sick.